yesterday, we have learned about the strings. We have checked some functions about these strings like replace function, uh, concat function. There are multiple functions we have used there, trim function. So these are the functions we have learned in the our past classes, correct? So we have learned about the arrays, string methods, and we know how to create a method or why do we create methods, correct? So today we will be, until now we were writing everything inside one class, correct? So like we are creating multiple classes, but what we are doing, we are creating one day one class, one day two class, and writing everything inside it. But what will happen when we need a like to create a multiple classes? How we can create multiple classes, or how we can interact with these classes inside our program? Just like how a real software is built, like in a single software, or we can say in a software, we didn't work in a single class. We don't work in a single class. So create a software, we need multiple classes. We have to modularize our code so we can manage it easily, and readability should be great for our code. So today we will be intro there will be an introduction to oops. What is oops concept? Can anyone tell what is the oops concept?
Object oriented programming language.
Object oriented programming language, correct? So there are multiple languages before the oops languages, like C is a procedural language which follows some procedure. But in oops, what is the difference between procedural language or oops language?
Roops work on completely the concept of classes and objects.
Correct. So when we are referring to the OOPS language, we are just simply referring to classes and objects. We are working like inside our Java, we have everything is working in a objects and classes. Correct. So that's how we interact with our OOPS languages. So suppose like I will share my screen. Screen is visible, right? So we will start with oops one class, and we have a main method here. First, like if we have to create a uh, five numbers, or we can say five roll numbers for a student. We have a students, and we want to store their roll number here. So how we will do it? If we have students and we want to store their roll numbers, so we have five students for now. So what we will do, we will create a array. We can directly create a array and provide the roll number equal to what we have to do, new int, and here we have to provide the size, correct? So that's how we can create roll number array for five students. That's how we can create a roll number for five students, right? And now what we need five, we have five students. Now what we have to store, we want to store the names. So what we have to do, we have to create a string names, and then what we have to do, we have to create a new string array. Here we will provide the size of our array. That's how we can create our, like we can store names of five students, correct? Now what if I say that we need to store details of our student, five students or multiple students? How we can do it? Or we can say we need a data type which can store all of these things inside it. Like we need a data type student which will be storing all of these things inside it. There can be like float, if we have to store the marks as well. So how we will be storing it? Float. marks, and then we will create a new float array and we will provide the 5 here. Correct? So now what we have to do, we have to, like, we are storing in the different data types, but it is not easy, or we can say it is not good for our programming. Like, these are the repetitive things we need for each and every student, right? But what will happen if we try to combine them in a single class or single data type? How we can do it? We need something like this. I will create a student array, and here what we can do, like, students equal to new student or 5. We can do it, but it is showing some error for us. We cannot directly cannot resolve symbol student. What is happening here? We haven't created any data type for a student now, correct? But what we need a data type which we can use directly to store our student inside it. How we can do it? Because for there what we are doing, we are using different data types for each, but I need a something which contains all of these. We have to create something which can contain all of these things inside one class or one template, we can say. We need something which can store all of these things inside a one template. So what we can do for it, we can create a class here. So to do this, what we can do, we can create a class for it. So how we can create a class? If we write a class student, and you have seen there, like, we have written the S capital, right? So this is a convention to create any class. When we are creating any class, we have discussed in the first class, like, when we are creating any class, we should have initialize it with capital letter. Correct? When we are naming our class, we have to initialize it with capital letters. So that's how we can create our class. We have simply created a student class, and what we can do here, we can just simply provide int roll number and string name, and what we can do, float marks. So what it will do, it will create a student array where which is containing all of these things inside our student class. Correct?
Sir,
So
basically it makes an object of integer, string, and float, right?
yeah, no, we didn't created, like, we are creating object here, but if
Yeah.
I do something like this, or I have removed this. Correct? So what we are doing here, we are just initializing a data type, or we can say using class. What we are doing, we are creating a data type for a specific entity which named as student. We are creating a template, or we can say we are creating a data type for entity named as student, which has student have roll number, name, marks, and it can have multiple properties as well. So these are the some properties we are storing for student. So we can say it is like a template. So we are creating a template here. For real life example, can anyone give us, other than student, what can be a real life example? Car. Correct? We have a car, like, there is a car. We have a car, and it has some properties like engine, fuel type, engine, and we can say uh, seats, and there can be multiple properties inside the car. So, but main structure will be same for each car. So using this car template, multiple companies like Audi, Audi, BMW, Ferrari. They
They
create cars
all
for
petrol.
each, correct? They can use similar template for multiple brands, right? We can multiple brands use same template to create the new entity for that car. So that's how we can create class and use them to create a real life object for it. Understood? Is it clear? So for class, what we can do, what we can say, class is a named group of properties and functions. So we can say class is a named group of properties and functions. We have a class which have multiple names, named group of properties. We have a group of properties and functions. Functions we already know. What are the functions? Methods which we can call to perform some operation. Correct? So each student have multiple properties. Like if we create a student entity, what we have, or we can say, yeah, we can also create, uh, we can also say it is a blueprint. We can say it is a blueprint or template. Correct? It is like a blueprint or template. So when we have to define the class, what we can do, we can say, simply say it is a template or blueprint to define
Of
the
object.
object, or we can say it is a named group of properties and functions. So we will discuss about the object. So what is the object? Can anyone tell what is the object?
So it is the entity of the class.
Real world entities.
Real world entities, right? So when you are creating object of that class, you are creating instance of that class, correct? When we are creating an object for that class, what we are doing, like if we try to create an object, how we will create object? We simply provide a new key, use new keyword and call the student function, correct? So what we are doing here, when we are creating object of that class, we are creating instance of that class. So what is the instance? Or we can say, like, we are humans, correct? So nature makes rules for human have two eyes, human have one mouth, and these are, they have two legs, they have two hands. So these are the some body structure, or we can say human nature created a rules for humans, correct? But when a baby comes, this is the real object, or we can say this is the real instance for our human class, correct? So we can say it is a rule defined by nature.
కానీ చాలా బెటర్. చాలా మంది అమెరికా అంటే అదో రేంజ్ అనుకుంటారు, కానీ మన ఇండియాలో చాలా నార్మల్ గా దొరికే కొన్ని సదుపాయాలు అమెరికాలో అస్సలు ఊహించలేని తెలుసా. అలా మనకు అలవాటైపోయి అమెరికాలో
Please do not try to disturb the class.
I think someone has left the mic on by mistake.
I don't want to restrict all of us mics, because so it should be an interactive class. So don't do this. Like so that's how we can say object is the real instance of our class, or we can say physical instance for our class, correct? So there will be a multiple student here, correct? Like we have created a student one. So this is an instance for this student class. What will happen if we try to print this student one? What we will get? If we try to print it, what we will get? Can anyone tell what will be the output for it? If we try to run it, what we will get? We are getting some random value, which is address, correct? If we try to remove it, what we will get here? We are getting error. Why? Student one might not have been initialized, correct? it is not initialized, so we are not getting anything here, or we cannot use it currently. But why we are not, why we cannot use it? Because we have provided some properties inside it and we have not initialized it. So until we don't initialize our student one, it will not be able to access, we will not be able to access this. So if I have written it like this, students equal to new student and 5. Now what will happen if we try to print it? Now we have initialized it and we are trying to print it. What will be the output? When I have printed a single student, what it is returning? It is returning us some random string, correct? It is returning us some random string. Why it is returning us a random string? Because Java doesn't allow user to manage memory or CA addresses. So that's why it is returning us some random memory or some random variable. Now what it is returning? It is returning us L student and some address. So this is also a random address we are getting, but we have created an array, correct? We have created an array here. So if we try to print this array, what we will get? If we try to print this array, what we will get? If I try to print this array, what I will get? We are getting null for each value, correct? For each index of our array, what we are getting? Null. Why it is null? Because we haven't assigned any value to it, or we haven't assigned some anything for it, correct? So currently what we are getting? We are getting null values, which is default values for our student. Like what we have created a string, correct? When we have created a string, we are getting a null value for it. Why? Because string is a class type data type. String is a class data type, correct? And these are the some primitive data types. So here we are getting 0 value. In for the float we are getting the 0.0 value. So that's how it works. But when we are creating a student and we are trying to print it, what we are getting? We are simply getting the null value for we have stored null value currently. So how it will be stored? When we are creating a reference for it, what happens? When we are creating it like this, what is happening here? If we creating it like this, what is happening here?
Constructor.
There we are getting some random value now, correct? What we are getting? We are getting some random value. But what is happening when we are like creating this something like this? What we are getting here? We have created a student. So inside our Java, there are two types of memories we have. When we have when we have written this thing, what it is doing? It is creating a reference variable inside our stack memory. What it is doing? It is doing student dot student. It will be stored inside our stack memory. It will be stored inside our stack memory. Inside our stack memory at the compile time. There are two types of things like when we run our Java program, there is two things. First, we have to compile our program. Second, we have to run it. So there is two types of time we had in our Java program. One is compile time, second is run time. So student is storing inside our stack memory, where we are storing all the reference variables inside it. But our data, or we can say when we are using new student, we are creating an instance for it. So those instances are the real world entity, correct? These are the physical values which are occupying some memories. So this student will be created at runtime. So objects will be stored inside heap memory, and it will be created at runtime, or we can say dynamic memory allocation. There will be some dynamic memory allocation which will be occurred at the runtime of our program. When we start to run, when we run this program, it will, what it will do, it will create a memory and allocate it to our object. So there we are creating an object. So this object has some memory, and that heap memory contains all the data. Student variable will be reference will be stored in our stack memory, and inside our heap memory we will be storing actual data for our object. Correct? So is it clear how we store objects here? Now, how, or we can say class is a logical construct. जो हमारी class होती है, what is class? It is a some logical construct. This is a logical construct, but our object is, what is object? Object is a physical reality, or we can say physical reality or occupying memory. So our object is a physical reality, or we can say instance, physical instance, which will be occupying some memory. Correct? So class is a only logical construct, and it does not occupy memory for the, like, it will occupy memory for the reference, which will be stored in our stack, but object will be stored and occupy real memory from the heap memory inside our heap memory. Correct? So it will be storing student name, it will be storing student data, it will be storing our students roll number. So these all things are stored inside our heap memory. Or we can say we have some properties for our object as well, like there are three properties we have for objects, and we can say we have three properties for our objects. What are these? There are three properties for our object. What are these? First is state of object, or we can say we have, first what we have, state of object. Second is identity of our object. Third is behavior of our object. Correct? So what is the state of object? Can anyone tell what is the state of object?
ऑब्जेक्ट किस टाइप की मतलब है?
Or we can say value from its data type. We can say state of object is like value from its data type. Identity of object, what it will be, the, like, how we differentiate our objects, like we have created a here student 1, student 2, or student 3. So those all differences are referenced as identity of that object. Correct? So we can say to differentiate objects, an ID or reference to differentiate our objects. And third is behavior of object. How behavior defined? Effect of data type, like there is some functions we have inside our object. So how this object behave in the real life situation, like each human have a function. Let's suppose we have each human have a function name as greeting, or we can say each car has the function of start. Correct? So functions of that object, or we can say method. Correct? So these are the three things we have inside our object. Is it clear? Is it clear? Now we have created an object. How we create object? We create object using the new keyword. To create an object, what we have to use? We have to use new keyword, correct? And how we access variables inside our object? How we access variable from our object? Currently, what we have done? We have just created an object using new keyword, and we got our object here. But how we will access our variables inside our object? To access this, what we can do? Student dot roll number equal to 120, correct? So what will happen if we try to print it? Student dot roll number, what it will give us? What it will give us? 120,
roll number.
correct? It will return us 120. How we are accessing it? We are just assigning our roll number using the dot operator here. What we are using? We are using dot operator to assign the roll number value inside our student, correct? That's how we can assign other values as well. We can assign name as well. We can assign marks as well. So that's how we can use variables, or we can say that's how we can use dot operator to assign values inside our student object, correct? So there can be multiple student we can create. There should be a, like, we can create a student one here, and we can simply create a second student as well, which have some different properties. If I have created a student 1 and student 2, student roll number has 120, and similarly student 2 has roll number 121, correct? So these are the two different entities for same class, correct? We are creating two different entities for same class. Student is our class, and we are creating two different entities using same class or same template, correct? So that's how we doesn't have to define variable roll number again. We don't have to define marks again. That's how we cover, or we can wrap up our multiple properties and method for a similar class or similar template. We create a template or blueprint to use it again and again, and it reduce code redundancy, and we doesn't have to write code multiple times, same code multiple times, correct? So that's how we can increase our readability, or also for our code. It looks clean or modular for our code. When we use classes, or when we use method, why we are using method? To reduce the redundancy for our code, correct? Similarly, we are using oops concept to maintain and remove repetitive code from our software. That's why we use classes here as well. So once we create a template, and we can use to create multiple entities for using those templates. But what will happen if I try to get this? What will happen? It will show us error, correct? Why it is showing us error? Why it is giving us an error?
Because
Defined.
string value.
Because we haven't defined the cell inside our student class, correct? We haven't defined the salary inside our student class, so we can't access it. But why it is not accessible here? But we can do it in Python language, correct? When we are using Python language, we can directly assign a value for the new data type, or we can say we can assign for the new variable for it. We can create new property directly using student2 dot salary and assign this value. It will be uh, inserted inside our student class automatically in Python. But Java is a static, like we can say Java is a static type language, so we cannot assign anything directly without defining it previously. So if we have to define the salary here, we have to define it here as well, correct? Then we can only insert our salary inside our student class. Is it clear? Okay. So what we have now? So that's how we can create object, or that's how we can assign values to our variables inside our class. Or we can say these are the properties of our class. We can directly say these are the properties for our class, correct? And it can have multiple methods as well inside our student class. We can have multiple methods as well, but this is the properties for our class, correct? Our Java is a static type language, so we cannot use this what we have done before. Student2 dot cell equal to something. We cannot do it. Why we cannot do this? Because Java is a static type language, so we cannot directly assign salary without defining it, correct? Is it clear? Now we have seen here, we have written this something like this. What is this? A student, and then we are calling a function here, a student function, but we haven't created any student function here. Inside our student class we have created any function named as student. Did we have created any function for it?
Automatically calling constructor.
No, correct. We didn't have created any student function inside our student class. So what we are doing here, we are creating this is a special type of function we had construct, which is called as constructor. What is constructor? We can say constructor
Assign the multiple value
is
in
is
the
a
function.
special type of function, correct? Constructor is a special type of function which is automatically called, which is automatically called at the time of initialization of object. When we initialize our object, it will automatically called. The time of object, correct? So it is a special type of function which is automatically called at the time of object initialization. So currently we are assigning our values like student1 dot roll number equal to 120, correct? If I have to assign a value name as student name equal to Nikhil, then what will happen? We have to, there is only three variables we have, but what will happen when we have to create a student with 10 or 20 values? What we have to do? We have to assign each and every variables one by one, correct? So it will be some difficulties for us to assign those values directly. We cannot directly assign those values one by one if we have a large amount of value and we have to create multiple student. What we have to do, we have to assign each and every value for one by one, and this thing is repeated, correct? This thing is repetitive, so we are repeating it again and again in each line of our code. So it will be a good method, or we can say it will be a good practice to write this thing like this. No, why? Because we are using Java to remove repetitive code as well, correct? uh, Clean code is considered when we doesn't repeat our code again and again. So This thing is repeating again and again to say do the same work, correct? We have to assign some value inside our student one, and what we are doing, we are just calling student one dot student one dot student one dot again and again. So to remove this, we have a constructor there which can automatically assign values inside our those properties. We can directly assign values inside our properties using constructor, correct? So currently what we are showing here, what we are seeing here, this is a default constructor we had, which is provided by our Java provide us an default constructor. So when we initialize our class, it will call it automatically as empty variable. So we doesn't provided anything. It is a function, correct? Student is a function, so we can provide some values inside it. We can provide some arguments or parameters inside it to create a object. What we can do, we can directly provide some parameters or we can directly provide some arguments inside it, correct? So what we can do to do this, what we have to do, we have to create a special function, or this function is created automatically. This function is automatically calling without creating anything. But when we need to provide a parameterized constructor, what we have to do, we have to define it. So how we can do it inside Java? What we can do it? How we can do it? There is a, we can directly create it, but for now I am creating each and every functions constructor, correct? So what is happening here inside our Java? When we have to create or initialize a parameterized constructor, what we have to do, constructor, or we can directly copy this, correct? So inside constructor, there are some rules we have to follow to create a constructor. What are the rules? Anyone know about it? Our constructor,
Same name as class name.
same name as class, correct? Our constructors, it should have same name as class, correct? It should have same name as class. So our class name is student here, and our constructor name also have student. Our function name also have student. And second property, it should have, it don't have any return type. Currently it is returning anything. Currently it is returning anything. No, we doesn't have any kind of return type here. We can change this access modifier as our will if we, but it should be public. Why it should be public? That's why if we put it like a private here, what will happen when we try to create a student using these parameters? It will reject it. Why it will reject it? Because public is it cannot be accessible outside our class if we make it private or protected. So we cannot use it inside another class, so it will be impossible to reach this student constructor, and it will be not, we will, it will be of no use if we provide it as a private. So it should be, third property will be, it should be public, so we can directly access outside from the class when we are creating an instance for that class. For this class, when we are trying to create an instance, we can directly use it inside another class as well. So now it is giving us error. Why it is giving us error now? It, whenever we create an constructor with some arguments, it forces us to provide those values inside our constructor. correct? So now it is expecting us to get those values from our constructor. So here what we have to do, we have to provide three values. Like if I provided a roll number here 1 and name, I provided name as Nikhil, and third, what will be the third value? It is a float mark, so it is, we can do it like this. It should be a float value, so we can like this, correct? Here I am providing like this and adding another name here and providing some marks 7 F. Why we are writing here F? Why we are writing F here?
What float?
Because it's a float value, correct? So we have defined our marks as float value. Now if we try to run our student 1, what it will return? We have assigned, actually we have assigned some values inside our student 1 and student 2. What it will return?
Name Nikhil 87.4.
If we try to run it, what it will return us? It will still return us an address. Why? Because we are
We
not
are
accessing
printing
any variables. We haven't done any created any function to access the values of this, correct? We just directly accessing the student 1 reference variable. So what it will return? It will return us the random address value, which can be anything. So currently what it is returning? ATF B846, correct? It is returning us some reference value which is stored inside our stack memory. So if we try to, now what will be the output here? Now if we try to run it, what will be the output? It is still returning us the student some address value, correct? But we can, because we haven't, this is the default two string function inside each class. Default two string function, what it will do, it just return the initially it will return the address value, but we can modify it. In each class we can modify our two string function. How we can modify it? Simply we have to write a two string function. We can directly create in IDE, we can create from here. So inside our two string method, what we are doing, we are creating a function name as public. It is returning some string and we are using two string, correct? What we are doing here, can anyone tell what we are doing here? We are creating a simple method name as return student, and inside this student we are providing we are writing all the values inside our student class. What are the values? Roll number, name, marks, and we are concatenating it inside a string and we creating a single string out of it. So when we have to print it, we just simply run this program. What we will get? What we will get? Student, roll number 1, name Nikhil, marks 87.5, correct? Is it clear how we can create or use two string method? Why we created? That's because if we doesn't create any two string method, so what it will do, it will return us the default value of address. So it is all upon us if we want to create a two string method or not. It is on our choice. If we want to create it, we can create it, or we can create some another function and we can directly call it outside of our class, correct? So until now we have created an constructor here, but can anyone tell what is this? What is this here?
Keyword to pass the data.
This is a it is a keyword. What are the keywords? inside our class we have two types of keywords, mostly we use this and super. So we will learn it about inside the inheritance. When we learn about the inheritance, we will see it why we use super keyword. But what is this? Currently we are using this keyword. What is the use of this keyword?
To pass
Let's see.
data in
What?
same name. To pass the data in same name.
Inside the same name, correct? So in our Java we have defining like int roll number here, int string name, float marks, correct? Inside our constructor we are also defining like a roll number, name, marks. Now how Java should know that this is the roll number for assigning, and these variables contains value, correct? So how it will be get confused, correct? It will be get confused. So what will happen if we don't uh, do it like this? It will be considered both are same. This roll number and this roll number are same. It will consider both are as same. So it will not assign any value inside these variables. If we remove this here and both of the names are same inside our parameter and our variables, what it will do? Now what we are getting inside our student? Roll number equal to 0.
Default value.
It is returning us some default values for each data type, correct? What it is returning us? It is returning us default value for each data type. So to differentiate those variables from the our parameters, what we will do, what we can do, we simply use this keyword here. So this keyword show us, or we can say this keyword like this keyword define that these variables are associated to this class, correct? So we are defining it here. These variables are associated to our class, not for the function. So that's how it will differentiate between two same variables with same name, correct? These have same name as well, but it will be differentiating using this keyword that these variables are associated to our class. Is it clear? Is it clear? That's how we can create like instance variable remains unchanged when we use this keyword. So it will differentiate parameterized variables or properties of our class. And we are seeing here override. What it is? What is the meaning of override? We will not discuss it today. We will discuss it in the next class, but when we are seeing it is here, so that's why I am asking what is the override, why it is showing override here.
To write the same method again.
Because toString is already defined in our default classes, correct? Java already default created a toString method for us by default, correct? What we are doing here, we are overriding it with our own logic. Initially it is returning us some address, but we say that we don't want that address for return when we call this function. When we call our toString function, we don't want to return address to user. We want some value, real value to our user. So what we are doing, we are just simply rewriting those that over toString method, and we are overriding it. Similarly, we are overriding toString method to provide our some provide our real values rather than address, which we are getting by the which we are getting by the default value of Java. Is it clear? Is it clear? Now what will happen when initially when a student get an admission, it have a roll number, it have name, it have email address, or it have other details, correct? But it doesn't have any marks there. It don't have any marks initially. So what will happen if we want to create some student have marks, like they are coming from giving some exam, but some students are like getting admission without giving any exam directly from this college, and after that they have to give some special exam to get the marks there. So they doesn't have any marks right now. How we will store them? Like we have seen there, if we remove this marks from here, what will happen? It will give us error. It will give us error. Why? Because we are not providing marks here. Expected 3 arguments but found 2. It is giving us error, which is showing us like our constructor expected 3 arguments but found 2 only. So what we can do? We can create another constructor with same name. We can do it. We can do it. Can we create another constructor with same name? If we try to write a student, we are creating a same function, correct? And here we are providing roll number, string, name, but we are providing here only 2 variables. We are providing here 2 variables. See the difference? Here we are providing 3 variables, or we can say we are providing 3 parameters inside our first constructor. Now what we are doing? We are just providing 2 parameters here. And what we will do? We simply write it like this, correct? And for marks, this dot marks, or we doesn't have to assign it here as well. We can directly assign here 0.0 f. We can directly provide the default value by us, correct? We can directly provide some 0.0 f value initially by using the default value. So we can also assign some default value here as well. We can assign like 0 value here. So what will we are doing? What we are doing here? We are providing some default value inside our student parameter properties. So what we are doing here? We are creating an student using only roll number and name. We don't know about the marks. How what are the marks our student get? We doesn't know already. So what we are doing? We are just creating an student using only roll number and name. Now will it give us an error? Error disappears from here. Why? Our error disappears from here. Why? If we try to print it, what will be the output? It is showing us roll number 2, name Rahul, and marks 0.0, correct? What is happening here? We have created 2 functions with same name. We have created 2 functions with same name, but there is a major difference in those functions. What is the difference? Both have the different parameters. In first function, what we are doing? In first constructor, what we are doing? We are providing 3 parameters. In second function, what we are doing? We are providing only 2 parameters, correct? So we can create or create 2 functions with different parameters with same name. So it is possible inside our Java that we can create 2 different functions with same name with different parameters, correct? So what it is called? What it is called? This property is called as property to create different methods with same name, or we can currently we are not seeing about the methods. We are using constructor here. These are the constructor, or we can say special methods. So what we are doing with same name but different parameters, correct? So what will happen have if I try to write it? What will happen? Is it correct? Will it give us an error if we try to write a function, or if we try to create a constructor using same number of parameters here? Those parameters are all same here, correct? We are using same parameters here. What is happening here? Like it also have roll number, it also have roll number, it has name, it has name, it has marks, it has marks, correct? But it is not giving us any error. Why we are not getting any error here? Because we have changed the sequence of parameters. So we can also create a method by changing sequence, and it will not complain to us to change the method or delete the method, correct? So there can be like we can also provide double. If we provide it like this, if we create a method like this, string name is in their place, and here I am providing double marks, so it will also not give us any error. It is also acceptable. Why?
Yeah, sir. Data type are different.
If we provide like 99.9 here, it will work. Which constructor it is calling? Constructor 1 or constructor 2? Like I will write here constructor 1 is called. Similarly, I will write it here as well. Constructor 2 is called. Correct? So for this, which constructor will be called here? For student 2. We are providing same values here. If I write it like this, then let's run it. Constructor 1 is called. Why? It is not complaining to us, but what it is doing? It is calling directly constructor 1, and it is called 2 times. One for the student 1, and second time it is called for the student 2 as well. Why? If we provide a 99.8, will it reach to our constructor 2? If I try to write it like this, will it reach to our constructor 2? Yes or no? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
No or yes? Why it is reaching to the constructor 2? Why we are reaching to the constructor 2 here, but previously we are not able to access it? If I write it like this, it is calling constructor 2, correct? If I try to write it like this, what it is calling? Constructor 1. What is the difference? When we are writing when we are writing the value as integer, which constructor it is called? It called our float constructor, correct? It is calling us it is calling the float constructor. But whenever we try to write it like this, or we are providing some double value here, it is calling the constructor 2, correct? So this is the some kind of typecasting, we can say. Integer value automatically typecasted to float value, correct? But when we are writing a proper double value, it is not directly casted to the float value, because inside our constructor we doesn't created any constructor for the integer value. So whenever integer occurs, it is checking the type of our variable. It is integer which can be directly casted to float value. So it check the first constructor. If we do it like this, check this. If we do it like this, what will happen? And provide the integer value here. And we provide the integer value here. What will happen? Constructor 2 will be called or constructor 1? If we replace the value, still it will be calling the constructor 1. Why? It still be calling us the it is calling the constructor 1. Why? Because float is the greater value. Like we have a float container which is larger than double, correct? We have a largest container as float. In this constructors we have a largest container float, correct? So what it will do, it will simply store our integer value inside our float container, because we haven't created any constructor for integer value, correct? But for the specialized double value we have a constructor there. We have already created a constructor. So whenever it check there is a double constructor, so it will goes to the constructor 2 when we provide a double value. But when we provide uh, integer value, it will check for the larger container. So what it will do, it will just assign this value inside the float, or we can say, is it clear? If we remove it as well, what will happen? And remove it here and rerun this. Constructor 2 is called. Why? For the both integer value and double value. For both values we are getting double. So this is the difference here. Is it clear how we can create multiple constructors? So this property is called as, this property is called as constructor overloading. So what is this property called as? Constructor overloading, or we can say method overloading. Similarly, method overloading as work as same as. So there are two type of concept: constructor overloading or method overloading. So this is the method overriding. Both are different things. Method overloading and method overriding, both are the different things, but are from the same concept named as polymorphism. So those both concepts are from the same place, same property, but they have different like we can say they have different functionalities for each. We are in overriding, we are just we have a already created function, we are overriding it again. But inside our overloading, what we are doing, we are creating a same function with different parameters. We are redefining our same function using different parameters. So this is clear how we will do, or how we will create a class, how we can assign variables, what are the objects, what are the classes, why we use this keyword. Is it clear, or any doubt in this? What are the constructors? So we have learned about the Java class and object, but can anyone tell what is the OOPS language? It's a object oriented programming, correct? So inside the OOPS language, what we are doing, we are creating a class and objects, and using those class and objects, we are writing our each and every program. Like we have written the main function. We have created a main class, correct? Uh, there we are just creating a main class, and inside it we are creating a main function, correct? But we are not creating any object for our main class. We are not creating any object to call our main class here. Why? Because we have created a static main function here. We are directly running it. Main class work as like or we can say main is the entry point. Main was the entry point for us. Whenever we get a main function, we can directly enter our program inside a class. If we try to write a function name as int get num equal, so we cannot directly call this function. Can there is a play button for it, get num. There is no play button for get num, correct? So inside the class we have a main function, or we have an entry point which can only be main function. To enter our Java program, we should have a main function there. Without main function, we cannot run our program. So inside, most of the time we have only one main function all over the program. We only have one main function inside our whole program. So what we will do, when we are creating something, what we can do, we just create a main function here, and whenever we need oops class, or whenever we need something from this, what we can do, we just call that class inside our main. We create an object for it, and we can directly access method inside the class, that class inside our main function. So whenever we create a function or when we create a software, we will use it like this. So can anyone tell what is the default constructor? What is the default constructor?
Constructor which are called automatically.
Without provide.
Constructors which are called automatically. Constructors always called automatically, actually.
Without parent, which don't have any.
No arc constructor, correct. We can say default constructor is a no arc constructor which is created by JVM automatically. Whenever we doesn't provide any constructor inside a class, it created a constructor for us automatically, correct? So what is the parameterized constructor?
Which have parameters.
Which have
Created
parameters created by us. And what is this keyword, and what is the difference between this and normal variable? What is this keyword?
To initialize the data into the same variable.
To access the current object of our class, we use this keyword, correct? And where are objects stored? At which memory our objects are stored?
Stack. In
Objects, heap memory. Objects are stored inside our heap memory, and references are stored in stack memory. See the difference between them. When we are creating a reference, it is stored in our stack memory, and when we are creating an object or initializing an object, it will be stored inside our heap memory. Why? Because objects are the real entity, or we can say these are the real entity which we have to use at the runtime. That's why our objects are created on the runtime, and the reference are created at compile time. So all of the data which is created at compile time is stored inside our stack memory, and data, or we can say which is created at our runtime, will stored inside our heap memory. Is it clear? Sometimes we can say if we run an object creation in a loop, so it will return us like heap memory full. It will return us like heap memory full. So it will crash our system, or it will crash our program. Why? Because we are creating a multiple objects of say again and again repetitively. So what it will do, it will allocate memory each time we are creating an object. And new key, what the new keyword do? What new keyword do? What does new
Object
keyword
is
do?
created.
Whenever we call a new keyword, our object is created and it allocates memory. What it do? It create an object and allocate some memory to our data type or to our object. Correct? Is it clear? Is it clear? So there are two types of constructor. We have default constructor and parameterized constructor.
Parameters.
Okay. So that's all for today's class. And if anyone have any doubt, they can ask.